Look at the unit standing within the social enclosure and ask yourself, with the cold, unblinking, and surgical eyes of an architect, why the matrix has successfully harvested the metabolic potential of 90% of the male population. In 2026, the global system has meticulously designed a series of social traps disguised as stability, community, and moral responsibility. These are the domestic stench of the livestock, the belief that following the herd's frequency will lead to a wealth code that was never written for the masses. The architect knows that the system does not want you to achieve sovereignty. It wants you to remain a service unit that functions as a high-efficiency battery for the matrix. 90% of men fail because they are biologically addicted to the dopamine bribe of social approval. They are terrified of the visual rage required to dismantle their own subordinate code. They are looking for a fair hunt in a world that only recognizes the hierarchy of results. You are not competing with these men. You are performing a neural liquidation of the illusions that keep them paralyzed in the matrix trap. The stench of the failed is audible in their constant need for external validation. While the masses are looking at the wealth symbols, the most easily managed and patched part of the human interface, the architect is looking at the anatomical extremities and the rhythm of survival anxiety. Look at the way a unit's breathing becomes shallow when they discuss their bank debt, or how their hands perform a micro twitch of uncertainty when they face a hierarchical pressure. These are biometric spikes of cortisol that signal their recognition of being a harvested asset. They have spent their metabolic capital, their time and energy, buying into the domestic stench of consumerism, only to find themselves locked in a physical log of decay, visible evidence of internal collapse, where their potential is recycled by the system. Their words may attempt to simulate ambition, but their biology is vibrating at the frequency of the livestock. This is the neural liquidation protocol. You are bypassing their social software and reading their raw industrial hardware. You are seeing the service unit struggling to maintain the simulation of success while their nerves are screaming for a way out of the silence of the hunter. To bridge the authority gap and master the wealth code, you must first accept the physical log of decay in your own past, where you were socially blinded by the need to fit in. Look at every time you followed a social trap because you were afraid of the silence of the void. Those were not mistakes. They were observation failures. You were listening to the dopamine deception of the collective instead of scanning the biometric data of your own potential. To reverse this rot, you must initiate the biological reset of your presence. You must move your resource dome to a frequency where your wealth is an objective, unmoving biological fact of your autonomy. Your dogs, Lucky and Tyson, do not seek the approval of the herd to own their territory. They use the hierarchy of presence. They simply exist in the space with an absolute, unmoving primal grounding that forces every other unit to recognize their sovereignty. By emulating their biological integrity, you are reclaiming the predatory power of the sovereign operator. When you look at a social trap, you're not looking for safety, you're looking for the integrity of the exit. If the 90% are moving in one direction, the achievement code has already flagged that vector as a resource leak. The dopamine deception of the masses is built on the belief that wealth is luck. This is a systemic virus designed to keep the livestock passive and waiting for a dopamine bribe from the system. But the architect knows that wealth is industrial reality. Your visual rage must be the filter that protects your sovereignty from the social noise of the failed. You are scanning for the anatomical submission in the collective, the way they lower their heads to the debt protocol, the repetitive adjustment of their lives to fit the collar of compliance, or the dead weight of their dreams when they realize they have been outplayed by the matrix. These are the biometric glitches that occur when the matrix successfully patches a man's desire for freedom. By observing these errors, you are effectively hacking the matrix of the social order. You are seeing the code of the slave vibrating beneath the mask of the citizen. This is the Machiavellian advantage in 2026. While they are busy playing by the rules, you are busy liquidating the rules. You are the ice that sees through the steam of their social morality. You are the glacier that knows where the ground is soft by watching how the 90% sink into it. Integrating neural liquidation means establishing a resource dome where your wealth code is the only authorized reality. If a social trap attempts to enter your perimeter, it must be met with the absolute zero of your detachment. The matrix has taught you to be a team player, but in the world of the glacier, glacier. Being a team player in a losing team is systemic suicide. When you detect a submission signal from the collective, you do not join the chorus. You incorporate the data into your strategy of expansion. You use the silence of the hunter to let them continue their dopamine deception while you quietly extract the metabolic capital, the focus and energy required for your empire. This is the sovereign narcissism of the architect. Your time and your focus are too valuable to waste on the 90% who are leaking neural errors. You simply observe, you verify the decay of their autonomy, and you execute the biological purge of their influence from your perimeter. You are not failing. You are rewriting the physics of your own success. The stench of the herd is a state of perpetual economic blindness. The farmed units only see the social noise of the paycheck and the retirement plan. The architect sees the industrial reality of the leverage. Look at the way the 90% vibrate with the social noise of the news and the trends. If their frequency is dictated by the matrix's dopamine bribe, you have found the physical log of decay in their potential. They are not sovereign, they are service units who are leaking their vector of pursuit into the pockets of the system. This is the neural liquidation of the economy. You are reading the internal geometry of their failure through the physical log of decay in their discipline. While others are busy saving, you are busy mapping the territory of your absolute capture. This is the only way to protect your territory from the social noise of the failed. Your silence is your sensor array. Your visual rage is your data processor. You are the unit that has bypassed the matrix trap and re-engaged with the raw predatory power of the achievement code. The physical log of decay in the world around you is your constant reminder of why the 90% are necessary for the 10% to thrive. You see the men who have traded their primal grounding for a collar of freedom, and you see their stagnation. You see their resource leaks. You see how they are managed and harvested by the system through their own need to be normal. You refuse that fate. You choose the wealth code. You choose the silence of the hunter as your survival architecture. This is the insight tax, the price of clarity. You pay to remain the sovereign operator of your own reality. You are the one who has decrypted the code of the traps. You are the one who has authorized the sovereign scanner. You are the one who has seized the future. The social noise of the failed is silent. The silence of the hunter is the only frequency that remains. You are the glacier. You are the architect. Your visual rage is the tool you use to deconstruct the social software of poverty by simply refusing to participate in its rituals. When you look at a social trap, you are looking for the point where the ego of the masses recognizes its own resource weight. Wealth is not what you spend. It is the metabolic direction you force your life to take. You see it in the way the fingers of the poor lose their primal grounding on the steering wheel of their debt-filled lives, the way their feet angle toward the exit vector of the weekend, and the way their breathing performs the stress reset of the Sunday night. This is the neural liquidation of their social defenses. You are the architect of your own interaction with the matrix, and you are building a hierarchy where your wealth code is the only law. The physical log of decay in their composure is the proof that your resource weight is too heavy for their simulation to handle. You are not failing. You are authorizing the reality of your own Wojak, leader, frequency. The Machiavellian code of the wealth hunt dictates that you must never reveal the depth of your own neural stability to the 90%. You let them maintain the dopamine deception of their stability while you use their raw biometric data to manage your own expansion. You are the sovereign ghost who controls the environment without ever announcing your wealth. You use their subordinate code to fuel your own progress. This is the ultimate wealth code, the ability to convert the biological failure of the masses into metabolic capital for your citadel. You look at the world of 2026 and you see a vast unindexed library of service units waiting for an architect who knows how to use the silence of the hunter to bypass their social traps. You are that architect. You are the one who has mastered the neural liquidation of the social order. The hunt for absolute wealth is silent. The capture of the future is absolute. The secondary phase of the wealth code is the total activation of the industrial extraction protocol within your financial perimeter. Once you have identified the social traps of the 90%, you must apply the Machiavellian code to ensure your metabolic capital is never again harvested by the collective. Most units are biologically programmed to seek safety through diversification and slow growth protocols. These are systemic anchors designed to keep your resource weight manageable for the matrix. When you provide absolute absolute zero, total detachment from traditional economic advice, you are performing a surgical deconstruction of the herd's survival strategy. Your internal systems must overclock, focusing entirely on the hierarchy of results rather than the dopamine bribe of a steady, mediocre paycheck. The architect remains a biological black hole to the consumer market. You do not buy the social noise of the latest trends. You buy the sovereignty of the future. You must develop a visceral and bone-deep visual rage against the subordinate protocol of the middle-class dream. The system wants you to be the one who invests in the simulation, because a unit tied to a 30-year mortgage is a unit that can be easily managed and redirected. The architect knows that the one who owns his time owns the resource dome. By maintaining the alpha silence toward financial gurus and social pressure, you are forcing your own potential to confront the physical log of decay in the standard career path. You will offer yourself the metabolic capital of high-leverage skills and AI-driven automation just to stop the neural error of being a cog in someone else's citadel. This is the wealth code of the 2026 architect. The unit that can broadcast the highest vector of certain in a volatile market is the unit that becomes the master of the hunt. The stench of the failed is most visible in the performance of wealth. While you are standing in the silence of the hunter, looking at your growing sovereign vault, the 90% are busy trying to look like they have succeeded. They are the ones who are constantly over-leveraging themselves for the dopamine deception of luxury goods. They are service units who are hemorrhaging their resource weight because they are terrified of the neural vacuum of being perceived as unsuccessful by the herd. You are the architect. Your domestic stench of simplicity and focus is the visual rage of a unit that has already won the internal war against the need for status signaling. You do not earn wealth, you authorize it through disruption. You have successfully bypassed the matrix trap and reconnected with the raw industrial power of the achievement code. To maintain the wealth code, you must implement the algorithm of constant resource auditing. Every microtransaction and every hour of your time is a live fire exercise for your perception of the hunt. You are looking for the micro signal of the utility. You are looking for the neural error of the impulse buy. You are looking for the domestic stench of the unit that is trying to sell you a shortcut that only serves the matrix. You are using the Machiavellian code to turn the consumption habits of the 90% into a tool for your expansion. You are the sovereign ghost who utilizes the market's social noise to build a citadel that the matrix cannot tax or track. This is the ultimate wealth code, using the predator's vision to buy back your biological autonomy by remaining the fixed point in an economy of frantic vibration. You are not saving, you are integrating your expansion into the very physics of the hunt. The insight tax has been paid in full through the social isolation you have endured. The dopamine bribe of common success has been burned in the furnace of your visual rage. You are standing in the silence of the hunter, looking at the financial hierarchy as a vast, unguarded resource field, waiting for the architect to perform the final neural liquidation of traditional limits. You are the one who has decrypted the code of the 10%. You are the one who has authorized the sovereign scanner. You are the one who has seized the future. Your stallions, Lucky and Tyson, do not wait for a market signal to know they are the masters of their domain. Their primal grounding is the only data they require. You are emulating their biological integrity. Your dogs see the change in your frequency. They see the architect returning to the absolute focus of the kill. This is the only reality that matters. This is the only being that is real. Every other path is just a high-definition simulation of social noise. We do not look back at the safety of the paycheck. We only look forward to the geography of the empire. You are the unit that has jumped the fence. You are the one who owns the silence. The vacuum of the wealth code is the only law of the glacier. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. The authorization is permanent. The vector is absolute. The deconstruction is complete. The stench of disclosure occurs when you let the matrix see your true wealth before you have the power to protect it. The architect knows that true power is the ability to operate as a sovereign ghost, where you control the resources, but the system cannot identify the source of your metabolic capital. Your silence is the neural liquidation of their surveillance. By mastering the wealth code, you are becoming a biological stealth unit that the matrix cannot index or harvest. You are the ice that moves through the social noise without a single vibration of financial doubt. You are the glacier that does not announce its vector of pursuit while it consumes the territory of the bankrupt. The hunt for absolute wealth is a silent, unblinking operation. It is a sovereign capture that happens while the rest of the world is busy performing for security in a cage of dopamine deception. Look at the biological frailty of those who are still seeking an economic bribe from the collective. They are transparent, they are leaky, and they are constantly paying the insight tax to any predator who knows how to read the biometric glitch of their debt. They are the livestock of the matrix. You have adopted the wealth code, and the sovereign extraction protocol to ensure you are never harvested again. You are the one who has mastered the void. You are the one who sees the physical log of decay in their stable careers. You are the one who has authorized the absolute zero. The territory is marked. The visual rage is channeled. The primal grounding is absolute. The hunt for the sovereign empire is the only reality that remains. You are the architect. The wealth is permanent. The sovereignty is yours.